G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because what a great time it is to be alive as a Wallabies fan. Joe Schmidt has already exceeded my expectations by beating Eddie Jones's winning record last year, winning 4 test matches already this year so far. Still got half the season to go, so yes, we're already better than last year. Thank goodness. Thank you, Joe Schmidt. And most importantly, we actually beat Argentina today in Buenos Aires, something I did not expect. I thought the rain was going to be a key factor against the Wallabies. Turned out it was the great equalizer. Both teams were struggling in the rain to hold on to the ball. And yeah, the game was slowed down to a grinding halt almost at points. And the Wallabies was able to focus on the fundamentals, not missing 200 tackles, not giving out 300 silly penalties, and yeah, was able to, grind down the game to a very tight finish and winning, clutching the game in the last minute with a penalty and a controversial one, no less. Of course, it's not going to be a great game of rugby without a controversial finish. So, a lot of you guys might be saying, hey, Argentina should have an opportunity to do a kickoff because the penalty was actually given out 10 seconds before the 79th minute. The penalty only allows you 60 seconds to take the kick, which means that there should be 10 seconds for Argentina to make the kickoff. Now, the Wallabies did take about 20 seconds to decide to take the penalty, right? To decide to take the penalty. 79-12 was the time when the Wallabies eventually decided to take the penalty. But yeah, you might say, hey, that clock should be wound back because, the penalty was initially given out at 78 minutes and 50 seconds or so. So, here's something that you need to consider. The James Dolman actually clarified this. Initially, he did ask the TMO when the penalty was given, and then he corrected the TMO that it needs to be the time when the Wallabies decided to kick the goal. Because you had to imagine in a situation, a penalty is given if the Wallabies were behind by 7. They need to score a try, right? The Wallabies has the opportunity to choose from a variety of different options: scrum, lineouts, penalty, and, slow tab, right? So, all of these options are available for the Wallabies for the penalty. And in the case, if they go for the scrum, they don't want the clock back. In the case, if they go for the line out, they don't want the clock back. In the case, if they go for the for the slow tab or quick tab, they don't want the clock back, right? Just because you're down by 2 points does not mean they won the clock back because you're going for the penalty goal, right? It's still the same option. You have the same you have the same option. Does not mean you choosing one particular option allows you to wind the clock back. The Wallabies is allowed to have that time period. So if you think about it this way, right? If the Wallabies need to score a try and they have to choose to go for the line out, the time they spent on choosing going to the line out is not wound back for the benefit of the Wallabies, right? If that was the state of the game where they need to score a try. It's never done before. So it's the same thing. The consistency needs to be there. It needs to be whenever you decide what to do, it's when the clock starts ticking for that action. And yeah, it is just time wasted. You could argue that the Wallabies probably spent too much time not deciding. That is up to the referee. The referee was distracted in some sense by arguing with the players. And eventually the clock was paused and the Wallabies just sitting there like, yeah, we're ready to give a decision. The referee was talking to the other players. So in some sense, yeah, probably a bit of game management mistake there by Argentinians, arguing with the referee, not getting the referee to ask the Wallabies to take the options quicker before the clock had ticked over the 79th minute mark. Yes, that's how you have to look at it. And absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it is just unfortunate. You have to just look at if you were going for the scrum, you don't want the clock back, right? So why should a clock be wound back just because you went for the penalty, right? So that is what it is. That is just how it is. It's, it is unfortunate. And I'm happy. And 21 points to 19. Wallabies win by 1. 9 minutes of a goal kick. So yeah, albeit the Wallabies won this game was not there's still a lot of issues there for the Wallabies. I thought not a lot of Seals still looked quite lost out there. A lot of times the kicking game was not really good at all. The Argentinians winning the kicking game, the Argentinians winning the running game, and really it was really the rain that had stifled a lot of the Argentinians' edge over the Wallabies. And whilst Wallabies was looking a bit lost out of the 10. Lionel Seal a number of times, probably hesitating too much on what he wanted to do, especially when it comes to those return kicks and getting the Wallabies into trouble unnecessarily. But Wallabies was able to focus on the fundamentals, right? Like, they were able to control the game in the set piece. They defended more for the first time, I think, the whole entire year. So I was very pleased that Argentina didn't just walk over with more. The scrum was better as well, getting penalties for the Wallabies, albeit was quite, there was a lot of hinging going on for both teams. Very hard to decide. And finally, like I said, in the small key areas, the physical battle was up, especially Tizano did really, really good around the breakdowns. And yeah, the fundamentals, just focus on fundamentals was really good. Penalty count, I think just 10 under 10. We'll have a look at that in a second. Missed tackle count very low as well for the Wallabies. Much better than their performances against the Springboks. And that is what you're looking for when the game is tight. Those little areas, like, penalty count, like, missed tackle count, is going to be the parts where you get hurt. And the Wallabies was able to control that and staying in the game. And basically, the rain kept the Wallabies in the game. And I think that the Argentinians had an opportunity to win the game with about maybe 66, with about 10 minutes left in the game. They had an opportunity, had the Wallabies on the ropes, repeated penalties against the Wallabies, getting a warning from the referee, and Argentinians decided to kick 3 points to get themselves, just 2 points ahead. And I thought that was the big mistake from the Argentinians. Could have probably gone for the try there. In fact, Garjo did go over just moments earlier, and he knocked on just over the try line. And yeah, I think that if Argentina just backed themselves with that bit of momentum there to really clutch it through, they could have walked out with a bit more than just 3 points there. And even if they didn't walk out with the 3 points, they could still have opportunities to work that themselves back into the game. Whereas the Wallabies, there was a massive pressure relief when they taken the 3, and and then allowing the Wallaby basically one last swing at it to get themselves in a position to win the game, and which the Wallabies did, despite all the shakiness in their decision making out there tonight. And yeah, it was also kind of like the 6-2 setup on the bench was a little bit exposed for the Argentinians. They ran out of the backs due to concussions, and they had to put a forward in the back line. And I think Augustin Creevy had to come on as a flanker, who is normally plays as a prop, the 39-year-old legend of the Argentinian rugby. And that is a risk for 6-2. You need to have the versatility. That is why, with the Springboks, someone like Huaga Smith is so valuable to be on the bench, because he has the speed as a former Sevens player to play in the backs if he was required for him to do so. And I just don't think that Argentina jammed the back line with like 2 extra locks, and then a loose forward. It's just really not having that speed that they probably needed to cover the back line themselves. But I can understand that the thoughts for the Argentinians, it is going to be wet. They wanted to keep the game tight, and having extra forwards, extra locks on the bench is going to be beneficial when it comes to that size and physicality in a slippery conditions that we saw tonight. So yeah, with that being said, let's have a look at the match stats. Argentina actually won the game on paper. 360 run meters to the Wallabies, 279. 13 turnovers conceded for Argentina, 14 against the Wallabies. 169 carries for the Argentina, 20 missed tackles, so not bad at all. But the Wallabies slightly better, 166 tackles, 36 tackles made, 17 missed tackles. I guess percentage-wise, Argentina might actually still a little bit better. But yeah, overall in raw numbers, Wallabies did have fewer missed tackles, and that's the thing. The missed tackle count ballooned out against the Springboks, like over 30. And this is something that we wanted to see. You can't just keep giving away 3 meters every time someone carries the ball, right? Kicks in play, quite even, 27, but the difference is the kick meters. Like I said, the Wallabies were hesitant, not really sure not really applying enough pressure under the high ball. Argentinians was able to diffuse a lot of the high balls. So 830 kick meters for Argentina to the Wallabies, 722. There was, when it comes to scrums and lineouts, Argentina did have 2 missed throws for their own lineouts. Scrum quite even overall, one on each way. I thought Tupou was really good in first half against Garjo. Second half, Garjo did look like he had a little bit of a comeback against Alan Alatoa. But I thought it was just a lot of 50-50 calls. The both teams collapsed in the scrums, and it was pretty much like a throw of a toss of a coin to see who's got at that call there. So it was quite even overall. I did like, when Tupou Tom came on, getting that first penalty against Garjo, I was pretty happy about that. And here's something that I think Argentina, gonna kick themselves. The possession in the second half, 57% to the 42, especially, like late in the second half when they were just pounding the Wallabies for a very long time and eventually settling on just 3 points. That is the difference between winning and losing, guys. That is the difference, because you have all these, like so much possession, so much control in the second half, and you're not able to convert that into points, and you just led the opposition back, which actually allowed the Wallabies to have more ball possession in the last 10 minutes because you kicked away just 3 points. You walked away with that 3 points with the overwhelming time you had earlier in the second half. Yeah, 10 penalties conceded for Argentina, only 8 for the Wallabies. Really, really well done. Under double digits is what we are looking for. Under double digits, it's what the world class teams are required. And yeah, this is probably one of the reasons Wallabies were able to hang in there in the game despite really lacking a bit in their play. I do think that Len Kitao was someone who did really well when given opportunities out wide, and really it was just not a lot of CEO hesitating, not able to get the ball out, not able to linking between the 10, 12, and 13 was the big issue. But once the ball get to 13, when Len Kitao got the ball, he was able to make half breaks. He was able to create opportunities for the wingers, for players around him, and he was able to basically set up a couple tries for the Wallabies to keep the Wallabies in the game. And it was really, a lot of that just came down him getting the ball out wide. So that needs to be something that to be worked with. I was really impressed that the Wallabies was able to build very long, consistent phases. There was 27 phases, double-digit phases without losing the ball against Argentina, sustained pressure, which is, again, just fundamentals, holding onto the ball and just, basic rugby. You pound until you get a penalty. And, Argentina was able to absorb a lot of that, not without giving a penalty as well. So really, really well done from both teams there. And then, sometimes, again, no Lucio, eventually ran out of patience, and Grubber kicking the ball away are probably a bit unnecessarily at times. And I don't know. I think Joe Schmidt really need to have a think about Noah's role for the Wallabies, or how they wanted to play. It is interesting as well, I think, because I'm not sure why this is the case. Maybe they need a second playmaker on the field to kind of like as a second head to help out Noah Lucio on some of the decision making, because he seems to be the only one that's like scrambling for ideas, and he just really under the pressure, under the occasions, he's just not able to, I think sometimes, like what the All Blacks are doing with Damien McKenzie and Beauden Barrett, I think the Wallabies probably should record someone more experienced. And maybe if Curly Beale comes back from injury, having him at a fullback position would help out with that second playmaker role for to assist Noah Lucio a little bit there. And I think that will help out a lot just to moving forward into the future. Let's quickly do a recap of the game. I'm trying to get this recap a little bit shorter, so let's just go through the game. There were some early penalties for the Wallabies. They did not go for 3 points, which I was pretty happy as well. There was a scrum penalty early for Tupou time on Gajo. And then 11 minutes into the game, finally, there was a penalty against the Wallabies. Wasn't able to convert that, but still, they were able to build a lot of phases, a lot of nice pressure. It eventually wasn't able to quite get there. Noah Lucio kicked the ball away. But the Argentinians came back a few minutes later. 11 minutes into the game, they did get a penalty from Argentina, playing the Wallaby player playing the play in the air in the lineout, and Argentina was happy to take the first 3 points, 3 points to nil. And 40 minutes into the game, I wasn't upset at all at this point, because I was actually quite happy. Argentina taking the 3 points, Wallabies back themselves, and that is the mentality that you want to see for the game to win. And I thought that was looking positive, and sure enough, it did pay out to the end, because the mentality carries out through the entire game. 40 minutes into the game, there was a lot of penalties going against Australia, and Argentina gets another penalty. They opted to go for the line out, went for the maul, and they went the maul this ball in for a try. A very nice steady maul, and Wallabies, this was probably the only maul that wasn't defended well. That Wallabies was able to defend the maul quite well after this initial try that was scored. Again, another 25 minutes into the game, the Argentinian discipline starting to fall apart. 26 minutes into the game, the Wallabies just built. They had a penalty. They went for the line out. They built 16 faces. I was looking quite flat-footed. Again, Noah Lucio looked a little bit lost. Eventually, the ball went to Len Ikitau, and Ikitau just taking himself straightened up, taking on against the defensive line, and then a nice little inside ball back to the halfback who's throwing the ball, Jay Gordon, who ran through the gap, and Jay Gordon linked up with Tom Wright, who ran a bit further and then popped the ball back in the field to Jay Gordon. For the first try for the Wallabies, 10 points to 7. 34 minutes into the game, another penalty to Argentina. 13 points to 7 for them. And just before halftime, there was a 40-meter penalty attempt for Nola Otseo, and he missed that one. So halftime score 13 points to 7 to the Argentinians. Second half, the scrum is looking, again, a lot of pressure from both teams. There was a scrum collapse, and there was a penalty to Argentina, and the referee said it was hinging. Again, it was a 50-50 call. Very, very unfortunate to get that a penalty to Argentina. Argentina kicked this one. 16 points to 7. It did look like to me the players were probably a little bit too high, and it was a little bit unsteady on the engagement, and then it leading to the scrum collapsing there. But yeah, it was a bit tough call there. And then finally, it was 50 minutes into the game once again. Lenny Kittel got the ball out wide. He made a nice little break, offload to American Combetti, ran through the middle of the field. Again, he got tackled, and a quick ball out of breakdown. Jay Gordon just, keep the players rolling through with crash ball, and then eventually Big Robbie V crashed over for the try. 16 points to 14. Wallabies getting themselves just 2 points behind. And again, just, being able to, just really not just taking the easy options is starting to pay off for the Wallabies at this point. 58 minutes into the game, the Argentinians made the same mistakes the Wallabies made earlier, playing a play in the air, in the line out, and the Wallabies kicks 3. 16 points to 17, getting themselves 1 point ahead for the first time in the game. 68 minutes in the game, this is where I think the Argentina lost the game. They had so many opportunities. They had a number of repeated penalties. They could have kicked in for goal. They went for the line out. I was like, yeah, this is good. Argentina's going to, go for the kill shot here. Going to, knock the Wallabies out of the game. They were looking really good. There was the Wallabies under the pump, giving away silly penalties right in from the goal line. Could have been a yellow card. And then the referee was like looking at the Wallaby like, don't do that again. And Argentina, to the relief of 50 billion Wallabies fans around the world, opted for a 3-point. Yeah, they did kick this one quite easily, 19 points to 7, but still leaving about, 18 minutes or something, just almost, no, not 18 minutes, 10 minutes or something, 11 minutes or around 11 minutes for the Wallabies to make a comeback. And sure enough, in the last 10 minutes, we saw it on stats already, Wallabies controlled the game for the most part. There was a lot of bit of silly kicking back and forward, and I thought the Argentina did look a little bit more clinical in their kicking, a little bit sharper than the high ball, but the wet conditions really not really letting either team to build into any substantial pressure. And eventually there was a penalty, and the Wallabies went for the line out, and they built right in front of the goal. The ball, it looked like the ball hadn't been popped out, and the Argentinian player stepped over the maul, stepped over the rock, which you're not allowed to do, to pick up the ball that popped out of the rock, and then scooped it over the Argentinian side, right in front of the goalpost. Yeah, I mean, it is tempting to do that, but you really can't just walk over the rock, reaching over the rock to pick up the ball like that. Yeah, that was a little bit of a coach killer there for the Argentinians. And then, yeah, Wallabies waited for the clock to tick over over 79 minutes, and went for the penalty, winning the game. Beating Eddie Jones' record last year already, 20 points to 19. Good time. What amazing time to be a Wallabies fan. Everybody go buy your Wallabies jersey now before it's sold out. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week for the news. And have a good weekend. Cheers.